There have been many missions to the moon, both crewed and uncrewed. The first crewed mission to the moon was Apollo 11 in 1969, and the last was Apollo 17 in 1972. Since then, there have been a number of uncrewed missions, including China's Chang'e 4, which landed on the far side of the moon in 2019. The next mission to the moon is scheduled to be Artemis 3 in 2025. This will be the first crewed mission to the moon since Apollo 17, and it will include the first woman and first person of color to walk on the moon. The Artemis program is NASA's plan to return humans to the moon and establish a long-term presence there. The program includes a number of missions, including Artemis 1, which will be an uncrewed test flight of the Space Launch System, SLS, and Orion spacecraft around the moon, Artemis 2, which will be a crewed flight of the SLS and Orion around the moon, and Artemis 3, which will be the first crewed landing on the moon since Apollo 17. The Artemis program is a major step forward in NASA's plans to return humans to the moon and eventually send humans to Mars. The program is also a symbol of international cooperation, with NASA working with partners from around the world, including the European Space Agency, ESA, the Canadian Space Agency, CSA, and the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA. The future of missions to the moon is bright. With the Artemis program, NASA is well on its way to returning humans to the moon and establishing a long-term presence there. And with the help of international partners, NASA is poised to make even more exciting discoveries in the years to come. Here are some of the goals of the Artemis program. Land the first woman and first person of color on the moon. Establish a long-term presence on the moon. Explore more of the lunar surface than ever before. Collaborate with commercial and international partners. Use what we learn on and around the moon to take the next giant leap, sending the first astronauts to Mars. Here is some information about India's mission to the moon. India's first lunar mission, Chandrayaan-1, was launched in 2008. It orbited the moon for 312 days and made a number of important discoveries, including evidence of water on the lunar surface. In 2019, India launched Chandrayaan-2, a more ambitious mission that included a lander and rover. The lander was supposed to soft land on the moon's south pole, but it crashed during the final descent. The rover, Pragyan, was able to deploy from the orbiter and explore the lunar surface for a few days. In 2023, India launched Chandrayaan-3, a follow-up mission to Chandrayaan-2. The goal of Chandrayaan-3 is to soft land a lander on the moon's south pole and deploy a rover to explore the surface. The Indian Space Research Organisation, ISRO, has ambitious plans for future lunar missions. In the next few years, ISRO plans to launch a mission to collect samples of lunar soil and bring them back to Earth. ISRO also plans to launch a mission to build a lunar research station. India's missions to the moon are a major achievement for the country's space program. They have helped to put India on the map as a major player in the global space race. And they have also helped to inspire a new generation of Indian scientists and engineers. Here are some of the goals of India's missions to the moon. To study the lunar surface and its composition. To search for evidence of water on the moon. To understand the moon's history and evolution. To pave the way for future human missions to the moon.